parents, and my colleagues who have taken out their time to be here with me this afternoon. So, dear friends, today is going to be a very, very prominent kind of a lesson. In fact, number of lessons that we all would find very relevant in our life because they have been derived from the life of a person who has inspired millions and millions across the world. So, today, we are dedicating our session to the father of our country, that is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, whom we lovingly call as Mahatma or Bapu. So today's lesson or today's class is learning lessons from the life of Mahatma. I hope you are all settled and comfortable and ready to begin with the class. If you don't have some stationery with you, please get some pen, paper with you. There will be a lot to note down. I would like you to write down whatever questions arising in your minds or as and when I ask you some questions. So friends, I'm starting with the presentation. We celebrated Gandhi's 151st birth anniversary on 2nd of October, the last 2nd of October. Today it is about a week from that day. And I wanted to dedicate our today's learning of values and life skills classes to Bapu and to learn from his life. I hope you are all with me in this journey of learning. Yes, friends, I hope there are some messages from you that you are here and we can begin with the class. Let me know if you are all here. Yes, okay. Friends, Gandhiji has said, my life is my message. मेरा जीवन ही मेरा संदेश है. It means his entire life he has lived by his principles. And to learn from his life, we simply have to know about the entire life journey. There are a big number of lessons hidden in every turn that his life has taken. We will try to cover a few of them in today's session. First, to give you an outline of Mahatma Gandhiji's life journey. You don't have to read all this text here, but I hope you can look at the major years indicated. Starting from 1869, if you all are able to see 1869, that is the year when Gandhiji was born on 2nd October 1869. Then he went to take his training as a barrister in London from 1888 to 91. That is when he was almost 20 years old of age, so 19 to 21. 1893, he moved to South Africa 2 years after completing his degree as a barrister. Barrister is, in case if some of the children are not aware, he was a lawyer. So barrister is another word for lawyer. He moved to South Africa on an assignment. He came across some very life-changing experience which made him start a campaign against racial discrimination, which the Indian immigrants used to experience in South Africa. In 1915, he returns to India. Then he was the key person in several major events that have happened in the recent modern history of India, whether it is 1919 Jallianwala Bagh massacre or it is non-cooperation movement, he being in jail for years and years together, then leading the Dandi March or the Salt March as it is called. Then he attends London Conference on Indian self-rule in 1931 in London. 1942, he led the Quit India movement. 1947 marks the independence of India from British rule. 1948, January 30 is that black day in the history of modern India when we lost this son of the great soil of Mother India. He was assassinated in New Delhi. We will today be focusing on certain incidents from his life which teach us a number of lessons. So friends, in 1893, you remember after completing his degree, after 2 years, he went to South Africa on an assignment. And what happened was, this is a railway station in South Africa. It's, I hope you are able to see the pictures. Nishita, just let me know. This railway station, it's called Pietermaritzburg.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Pietermaritzburg in South Africa. Here he was traveling by a train, and at this railway station, one white fellow passenger, a co-passenger, complained about a black Indian sitting in the train, and he was supported by the officials there and a constable, and he was forcefully thrown out from the train along with the luggage. Just imagine this happening to one of us. He was an Indian, we are all Indians. There is a possibility that we would have been in that place at that point in time. Imagine this happening to a very well learned barrister who took his degree from one of the best institutions in London. Someone who hails from an affluent family of Porbandar in Gujarat. So somebody who has lived a life of opulence, of respect, of richness all around him, a lot of luxury and comfort, and this happening to somebody like Mahatma Gandhi, who was known as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi at that point in time. Now, when this happened, I would like, before moving on, I would like you to tell me, if you put yourself in the shoes of Mahatma Gandhi at that moment, what feelings would arise in your heart? When people treat you, discriminate you in such a way that they don't want to even sit with you and they forcefully oust you from a train compartment, you are thrown with your luggage. What feelings would you have at that time? I'm looking for the chat. Rejection, anger, resentment. Yes. Yes, friends, I'm waiting for more of you to express what would you feel at that moment. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, now see, it is another country. You might not have those many connections. There can be fear also. I agree. Dejection. You would be sad. There would be a lot of frustration. Why this happened? Dejection. So, and then when that happens, are we able to take any positive decision when we are in such a negative frame of mind? I'm sure you are with me that no, it's not possible to take a positive action when we are in such a frame of mind. So, 125 years after that incident, that is recently 2 years ago in 2018, this is the plaque which was installed at this particular platform, because the journey that Mahatma Gandhi started as a Mahatma actually dates back to that incident in 1893. So this incident holds a great importance in the life of Mahatma Gandhi. We'll see how. So what happened is, you can see in this year, 125th year of celebration, when he was conferred with a high honor, the plaque was established in his honor recently 2 years ago. It's mentioned here, in the vicinity of this plaque, MK Gandhi was evicted from a first class compartment. First he was shifted from first class to third class, and then he was later thrown out from there as well. On the night of 7 June 1893, this incident changed the course of his life. He took up the fight against racial oppression. His active non-violence started from that date. So I was asking you, you would feel afraid, you would feel angry, you would feel sad, and you would also feel violent. You would feel like doing something, breaking somebody or something, doing something which is not very positive. So what did they do in 2018? They've installed a two-sided statue of Mahatma Gandhi. Bust is up to the chest. That is a two-sided bust that they have unveiled at this famous railway station now because of Mahatma Gandhi, called Pietermaritzburg in South Africa, to mark 125th anniversary of that incident when he was thrown out for being an Indian in a whites-only carriage. Friends, here, pay attention to this next picture. You can see two faces. These are, how many of you, first of all, can see the two faces? In this statue, you would see it is two-sided, two-faced. One is of the one which is more visible to us right now. That is of the young Mohandas who fell that day on the platform. And the other side is of the Mahatma, the old Mahatma that we all know him as. So this actually is a symbolization of movement or transition of Mohandas to Mahatma. This was an incident which played such a crucial, pivotal role, which turned Mohandas into Mahatma. And you know why it could happen? Because he did not feel any of those emotions that we were talking about. I'm sure he was baffled, he was confused, he was angry, but not angry in a negative way. He turned all that into a positive energy, which would not only bring a change in the scenario of racial discrimination in South Africa, but he would carry that spirit back to India and would just change the face of history of India forever. So I would like you to know what, just 2 years back when this event happened, Gopal Krishna Gandhi, who is a former civil servant, he served as the governor of West Bengal. He is also the grandson of Gandhi ji. He was invited there, and he, in his speech, said these words. What I have shown in blue are the words of Sri Gopal Krishna Gandhi, the grandson of Gandhi ji. In his official position as a civil servant, he was invited. He said, when Gandhi was evicted from the train, an Indian visiting South Africa fell. But when Gandhi rose, an Indian South African rose. See, when he got up from that place, he was no longer Mohandas, an Indian. He realized that this is a bigger situation. He saw the bigger picture, and he was no longer just an Indian feeling frustrated and humiliated. He was an Indian South African. And see what kind of Indian South African rose? Gandhi fell with a railway ticket no one honored. His ticket was not respected. He rose with a testament none could ignore. He fell a passenger but rose a patriot. I haven't heard of a patriot bigger than Mahatma Gandhi. Fell a barrister but rose a revolutionary who revolutionized the whole world, especially the history of India. His legal brief became a political cause. He went there for a very brief legal matter to handle, but it turned into a political cause for him for the entire lifetime. His sense of human decency transformed into a passion for human justice. So he was no longer just thinking of human decency, that everyone should be respected and decently treated, but turned into a passion, a fire for justice for the entire humanity. The personal died within him. He was no longer just one person at that moment. He turned public. He identified with every single person in his position. Mine became thine. In simple words, I can say, I became we for him. In fact, Mohandas Gandhi was not flung there, flung here. He was launched. When you say some launch, it is when something takes flight, something takes birth, something which is further going to bloom. So at that moment, those people must have thought that they have thrown an Indian out. They did not know that they have launched a Mahatma. So my dear friends, I would like to know, after listening to this and after knowing this, which I'm just presenting to you, the Indian and the South African merged in him at that instant. He was no longer just one Indian. He fell, doubtless, with astonished disbelief. He couldn't believe that he has been thrown out. This must have turned the very next instant to fury for any normal person. You would be furious. But in an alchemy that was uniquely his own, it's a magic which was of unique kind in him. It turned also into something totally different, something creative, something redemptive, something that changed shock and fury into a transformational resolve. He did not just lose that experience by feeling furious. He used that experience in finding creative and totally different transformative solutions for the whole world. So he resolved that this experience is going to give me the right direction in bringing the change where it is needed. So I would like you all to tell me, what lessons did you learn from this incident? I'm waiting for your answers in the chat box. And just for your knowledge, let me tell you, after this, he led campaigns against racial oppressions in South Africa. He started an ashram called Phoenix Ashram. He later, when he came back to India, this whole incident had given me that kind of a wisdom and light that he conducted those kind of campaigns in India also. He has done a lot of work towards racial oppression. In India, he gave the name Harijan to those people who were called Shudras, who were supposed to do menial work like cleaning of toilets, cleaning the roads, doing the lowest minimum kind of work that is considered lowest minimum in India. And he called them as Harijan, where Hari is Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, and Jan is the subjects, the people. जो विष्णु के people हैं, विष्णु के लोग हैं, he gave that kind of a respect and level for those people. So, that all has happened from that incident. I would like to know, what lessons did you learn from this particular incident? Established. I didn't get what Grexa means. Think bigger before you act. Amazing. So don't go for an instant reaction, but you need to reflect on every experience that you receive in life. I hope, children, you are paying attention. Yes, I'm getting a few responses more now. Felt and saw a new sense of justice. Excellent, Jairam. Thinking about people around you. Yeah, he was no longer just thinking of himself. He converted it into a movement for the whole world. Excellent, excellent. So the lesson, what do we learn? You all have shown, some of you have written what he felt, what he saw, what he did. What is the lesson that we learn? Said, think before you act. Drishna said, see the bigger picture, right? It's not just about you, it is about humanity. That's the bigger picture we should always remember. Then control feelings, act rationally. Yes, that's similar to the previous point. Think about people around you, think about bigger picture. It is the same kind of answers. Equity, bad experience is the beginning of a new era. Wow, Vandana, that's beautiful. So, experiences are never bad. Experiences teach you. This is another lesson that we get. Bad experiences lead to new beginnings if you resolve to use that experience in the right direction. Think, listen, act. Started the change he wanted to see in the world. Absolutely, Sanskriti. And that's what Gandhiji says, be the change you want to see in the world. He did not just preach, he practiced it. Thank you, friends. Moving further. Strength does not come from physical capacity. It comes from an indomitable will. This beautiful quote goes so well here. If you just look at his frail body frame, no one can imagine that this man, such a normal average man, is able to make such kind of revolutionary changes. So strength is not your body, your physical personality. It is the will that you have, indomitable will, which does not bend down before any challenge and the magnitude of challenge, however big it is. Your will has to be indomitable to bring that change that you want to see in the world. So children, now I would like you to take you to another story which is equally beautiful, full of lessons. Here you see a pair of sandals that made history. Nishita, just let me know if my voice is clear and there is no echoing.
Yes, ma'am, it's very clear, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, friends, in South Africa, he was jailed, and General Smuts was the administrator there in South Africa, and who was in charge of Gandhiji as well while he was in the jail. So Gandhiji had opted for working with leather and making footwear, because in jail you have to opt for some work. So Gandhiji opted for this work, and you would be surprised to know that this General Smuts, who was kind of an epitome of violence, Gandhiji made a pair of sandals for him and gifted it to him. These sandals have recently are currently in India. They were. It was written in the will of General Smuts that I would like to send the sandals back to India, because he knew the kind of sentiments we have for Gandhiji and how much this would matter to us. So I would like you to know how this whole thing panned out. What happened when Gandhiji gave these sandals? What General Smuts thought about it? So this adversary, that is an opponent or an enemy, this adversary turned admirer of Gandhi, that is General Smuts, went on to acknowledge his greatness when he wrote. So these are the words of General Smuts that I will be reading now. I'm quoting him. In jail, he had shown me a very useful pair of sandals, which he presented to me when he was set free. I have worn these sandals for many a summer since then, even though I may feel that I am not worthy to stand in the shoes of so great a man. Anyhow, it was in that spirit that we fought out our quarrels in South Africa. Wow, see the kind of uh, camaraderie that they shared, even as adversaries. There was no hatred or personal ill feeling. The spirit of humanity was the atmosphere which kept the peace between the races for many years. And when Gandhi turned 70, General Smuts returned the sandals back as a gesture of friendship. In a Gandhi memorial volume for the occasion, he wrote, "It was my fate to be the antagonist of a man for whom, even then, I had the highest respect. He never forgot the human background of the situation, never lost his temper or succumbed to hate." It's very normal and common for a human being to experience some very different emotions when you are in a jail and there is somebody who is controlling you. There would be no feeling of basic respect. Forget about making something and gifting something, your fruit of labor, gifting to somebody like that. The children, from this incident, what qualities of Gandhi do you think you have learned? What qualities? So, those becomes the lessons for us as well. I'm looking at your chats. Violence is not the answer for everything. I agree, Drishna. Janvi, feel how the people around you feel. I think these are the answers for the previous story. In a gentle way, you can shake the world. Yes, Yaksh, I'm so happy that you have quoted Gandhiji here. It's a quote of Gandhiji. Humility and self-control, beautiful. Forgiveness, Pranjal, lovely. And this word coming on a Friday, on Forgiveness Friday, beautiful. Humbleness, thank you, Deepti. We can see how humble he is. He is treating General Smuts as a fellow human being, winning over your enemies. Wow. Win the heart with simplicity. And I think with love, genuine love, then always be down to earth. Yes, Drishna and Jani, you're right. Sanchi, self-control can spread peace in the world. Amazing, Sanchi. That's beautiful thought. Even though the person is rude, win his heart with kindness. Avni, so true. Kindness can win any person. An eye for an eye only ends up making the whole world blind. Yes, Samya. Thank you for quoting Gandhiji again. Krishna, it is simple living, high thinking. Yes, he believed in simple living. He lovingly did the menial of the tasks of the jobs, and he always thought of people and doing the best for the world, and that is what is called high thinking. Thank you, friends. Thank you, my dearest children and my dearest friends. You all are picking up exactly the lessons that we intend to learn from here. I would also like to add a few things here. Peace. Peace is what matters. Secondly, every person is inherently good. General Smuts must be behaving in a particular way because of the position or the responsibility that he was supposed to carry out. But as a human being, Gandhiji showed us that every human must be loved and must be respected. And that's how he earned the respect of even his enemies. So, peace, love for all, serving others, and non-violence, not adopting angry ways to communicate with your adversaries. These are so many lessons which we have learned from this. And the most important, which is shown here as the quote by Gandhiji, which goes so well with this story, is hate the sin, not the sinner. Aap se घृणा karo, पापी se nahi. When you will love that sinner, sooner or later, the person would realize where he is wrong. We have to trust, we have to have faith in this basic wisdom of a human being that we are able to realize our mistakes. So we must not hate the sinner. We must tell them very clearly what we don't like, what we think is wrong, but without hating the person. So children, here, definitely I'm acting as a preacher. I'm just sharing these stories with you. It's very wrong on my part to even take a lesson like this because Gandhiji says, practice what you preach. And I don't think I have mastered this art. I think the whole life would go in mastering this, but I promise to Gandhiji in his memory that I will definitely try harder to imbibe these lessons in my life and to actually role model them rather than just telling these stories to my children. Friends, I would like to share with you that Gandhiji visited London to attend a conference in the parliament there. And this is the gadget, that is the newspaper, the Gazette, which took out this news there. Gandhi is here, the Indian nationalist leader whose personality is intriguing the whole world arrives. This kind of person whom the whole world admired. These are a few little trivia which shows how witty this great man was. But this wit is not just a joke, not just simple humor. There is tremendous amount of wisdom hidden behind it. So when he was invited to meet King George V, to have tea with him at Buckingham Palace in 1931 when Gandhiji visited London, a reporter asked, Mr. Gandhi, do you think you're properly dressed to meet the king? Because he was just wearing that single loin cloth that he always wears. It's an unstitched single piece of cloth. Gandhiji said, do not worry about my clothes. The king has enough clothes on for both of us. I think it says a lot about the unwisely use of resources and complete lack of any kind of responsibility for others, a sense of responsibility or empathy for others. Another piece which shows his wit and wisdom. A reporter once asked Gandhi, why do you always choose to travel by third class in a train? He replied, simply because there is no fourth class as yet. I'm sure that you are able to relate to these incidents, or you are able to resonate with Gandhi's thoughts behind these actions of him, like wearing just a loincloth or traveling only by the third class. So I would like you to tell me, why do you think he was wearing a loincloth all his life since he became, more conscious of his bigger role in this world? Why did he wear just a simple piece of clothing? Yeah, I have some answers from the previous story. A peace begins with a smile, as said by Mother Teresa, right? And Amit sir says reconciliation, very true, non-violent, peaceful reconciliation. And Greg sir says correctly, this is in Bible too. And Gandhiji believed in all scriptures, all religions, and all the lessons, all the beautiful lessons from all the religions. Janvi says the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. A quote by Gandhiji. So sweet and so correct. All your dream will come true if you have the courage. Yes, Samya. Yes. Fancy clothes don't make you great. Your thoughts do. I agree with you. I have still not got my answer. I would like to know, why do you think Gandhiji preferred wearing a simple piece of clothing and traveling by the fourth class in the minimum of comforts? Why did he prefer a life of minimum comforts, minimum luxury? Come on, friends. He represented Indian people who are poor. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Greg, sir. That is so correct. There were millions of Indians who were not able to afford luxurious lifestyle, whether in terms of clothing or the transportation means that they used. He didn't need them. Jairam says he didn't need them. I think none of us need all the luxury that we have. This is what you mean to say. But he is the one who realized it. Amit sir says to connect with the masses as one of them. Absolutely. Drishna, as he said, if I sacrifice my half clothes, somebody else can wear. Beautiful, Drishna. So these are the lessons that we are learning. I'm taking you forward. What I feel, Gandhiji's loincloth is not just a cloth, it's a symbol. And what it symbolizes? It shows us unity with the socially and economically deprived Indians. The symbolic strength of Gandhi's dress lay in its simplicity. Such a simple life. He's indirectly saying, live simply. And be seen as a person who most of the people can feel comfortable in approaching and can find you as one of them. It was also a step to encourage the boycott of British goods and to erase religious differences and class distinctions. This is such a clothing which looks a very normal clothing, which could be worn by a person of any religion, basically, or any class. He doesn't want to show off that he is able to wear something different and rich and luxurious. Also, it was a step to boycott British goods because British goods were finer, were expensive, and they were somehow they were very badly affecting Indian trade. So it was a protest against the British exploitation of the Indian resources. Also, so it became a symbolic weapon. So Gandhiji actually took it to a further level where he involved people. It was a mass movement where people, all his volunteers were using the spinning wheel, that is charkha, and making their own yarn, the khadi yarn, and making their dresses with the khadi cloth. So it had a very, very strong answer to the British that you cannot oppress us. We are capable. We are Atmanirbhar, that we are talking today of Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are Atmanirbhar. We are self-sufficient, self-reliant, self-dependent. We can weave our own clothes. We have our own resources and we don't depend on you. And we would not let you flourish here by using the goods that you import from England and sell to us, or you create here and you sell to us our own things. So this is another quote which goes with this story. The rich must live more simply so that the poor may simply live. I'll give you 10 seconds to just think about it. And if there are any thoughts emerging in your heart, please express. Yes, Greg, sir. He wanted to make one known by knowledge, not his clothes. Deeds decide character. Action decides what you are, not your clothes. He lived a simple life. No luxuries, just isn't necessity for him. To follow simplicity, he traveled in third class to connect with normal Indians. Correct. Contribution towards poor people. True. To avoid discrimination of class, Gandhiji believed in equality. So can we say that when we see these virtues in Gandhiji, we are actually learning these lessons today? So if I have to ask you to now rephrase whatever you were saying as lessons learned, and if you can express through one word, like what virtue or what lesson you learned. So now you are expressing from your point of view what you have learned. From the second story, see, first, let me just revise for you. The very first story when Gandhi was thrown out from the train and he rose as a revolutionary, brought unprecedented changes in history when it comes to social and political justice in South Africa and India, and inspired the leaders world over. So his influence is not just limited to South Africa or India. That story, followed by the story where the story of kindness and love, genuine love for humans, fellow humans, and non-violence, ahimsa, that he always believed in, when he made sandals for General Smuts and gifted it to him with so much humility. And I forgot to tell you, I really forgot to tell you, it's such a sweet thing. When he gifted this to General Smuts, he said, if this strap doesn't fit smoothly on your toe, please let me know, I'll adjust it. But this is something which will just blow your mind. How can someone be so humble, so forgiving, and so loving? I can even still feel the emotions surge within my heart when I just think of somebody having that kind of a character. From there, we moved to how he prefers wearing just a loincloth and traveling by the third class compartments in trains. I hope you have all now found what lessons you have learned. Avoid discrimination of class. Gandhiji believed in equality. Be human. Poor live at mercy of the rich man. Yes, you're right. Doing things differently. Equality and self-control. Treating adversaries as fellow humans. Yes, this is the lesson we learn. Be humble. Fight for the right cause, right purpose. Self-control. Not to be affected by your surroundings. So what Usha ma'am, I think, means to say not to be affected by the circumstances. Don't let the circumstances and incidents that happen around you decide how you will react. You need to have a self-control. You should be able to reflect and take the right kind of step by looking at the bigger picture and being kind. Thank you so much, Usha ma'am. Beautiful lessons. Being human in the right sense. Thank you, Drishna. Janvi, what matters is your thoughts, not the luxuries. Absolutely. And yes, Usha ma'am. So thank you, friends. Moving on. I would like to know if you are with me and are you enjoying the class?
Yes,
Is the
ma'am.
pace okay? Should I
Yes, ma'am.
reduce the pace? Should I increase the pace?
No, ma'am, it's proper.
Okay, thank you. Vandana ma'am says, calm in adversity with the hope to bring change, either in you or for society. Beautiful words, Vandana ma'am. Thank you, friends. Moving on. Are you prepared for a challenge? It's a trivia. It's a trivial question, basically, but it's an important question for us as Indians. I'm calling it a trivia because it's not a part of the session in terms of stories that we were discussing. So, children, can you tell me how many? Okay, first thing, has Gandhiji won the Nobel Prize for Peace? Is Gandhiji a Nobel Peace Prize winner? Quickly, quickly. No Googling. Yes or no? I think some are saying no, 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 no. Yeah, that's correct. Gandhiji did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. But do you know how many times was he nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize? Amit sir says he doesn't need one. Gandhi has Peace Prize in his name. Wow, what a beautiful information and thought. Thank you. So, okay, Ashani says yes. Okay, no, Ashani, he has not won the Nobel Peace Prize, but yes, he doesn't need one. Sanchi says twice he was nominated. Vanda ma'am says 3 times. Yaksh says 4 times. Yadnik says once. And Greg sir says several times. You know, he is trying to be on the safer side by saying several times. Then
No,
Heath
ma'am.
says he was nominated several times. Yes, Greg.
That was not me. I said I no idea.
Okay, this is Hina, CODPP. Okay, actually the names are not written, Greg. Forgive me. This is Hina. Hina is a smart girl. So yes, several times, but I'm looking for a particular number. He was nominated several times. He says, Ashani says, sorry, ma'am, due to network issue, the message came late. Okay, Ashani. So friends, let me tell you, Gandhiji was nominated 5 times for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1937, 38, 39, 47, and 48. And for your information, he was assassinated in 1948. And an award cannot be given posthumously, that is after the death of a person. So let me tell you, though he was nominated 5 times and he did not win the prize, many Nobel Prize winners themselves declared very publicly that Gandhi has inspired them. It's just like a teacher not becoming a doctor but making many doctors, and those students saying that this is my teacher who inspired me to become this, or student becoming a scientist, student becoming a philanthropist, a social serviceman, or moving into army, and dedicating it to the inspiration from the teacher. It's just like that. So that doesn't make the guru any lesser. It actually glorifies the guru more. So Gandhi has been the guru for all those Nobel Prize winners. Okay, so continuing with our lessons. So children, I spoke to you about the charkha, the spinning wheel. You must have seen this kind of picture many times where Gandhiji is spinning the wheel to make the khadi thread. We have spoken about it, how loincloth, how having your own cloth made in your country by your own self, how it is a weapon to fight the British supremacy. So I will simply read this out to you. The charkha or spinning wheel represents Swadeshi. Swa is Hamara or Deshi is Desh. So Swadeshi is जो हमारे ही देश में बनता है, made in our own country. Swadeshi, self-sufficiency, that we are capable, we are self-sufficient, we don't need somebody else to give us anything. And that is Atmanirbhar Bharat, that today it has become a buzzword. Gandhiji always had it in his blood, and he always spoke about being Atmanirbhar. And at the same time, interdependence, how the weavers, the traders, the customers, everyone is interdependent, the whole community together. So wheel is at the center of a network of cotton growers. So those peasants, the farmers who are growing cotton, then the carders who were bringing it, then the weavers who were weaving the cloth, then distributors who were sending it to various locations for distribution in shops, etc. And then the final users, the customers who are buying it. It also embodied the dignity of labor. When you do your own things with your own hands, it talks of dignity of labor. You give dignity to labor, equality, everybody doing it. So everyone feels equal, unity, and finally independence. As British control of India was rooted in control of indigenous industries such as textiles. So British were controlling our industries, our indigenous industries of textiles, and they started making their own fabric. So it was kind of an answer to them. So for this reason, Nehru called khadi, the homespun cloth, the livery of our freedom. And this livery is actually the uniform. It means uniform. So he says khadi was the uniform of our freedom. Such a deep meaning it carries. We all will have to think about it. So children, I'm moving to another story, another beautiful story. This picture that you see is a place called Birla House. It's the house of the Birlas, the famous Birlas that you have heard of. It's in New Delhi. In the lawn of this Birla House, Gandhi used to conduct prayer meetings. So children, when I say Gandhi, I'm saying it with utmost, deepest respect, with deep love. So when you do that, you need not always say Gandhi ji. So I hope you don't mind me saying that. I'm saying this just considering him as very close to me, very close to my heart. So Gandhi used to conduct these prayer meetings every day in the lawn of Birla House. And once what happened, and let me first tell you what used to happen in the prayer meetings. Prayer meetings were a very important part of Mahatma Gandhi and his wife Kasturba. All religions and faiths were given equal importance in the daily recitation of prayers. And let me tell you, these prayers were taken from different faiths and religions. These are called multi-faith prayers. So prayers always culminated at the end of all the prayers. They would culminate by proclaiming, by saying, although we call you by different names, you are one. Give us the wisdom to understand this, O Lord. So people from diverse religions and faiths used to gather for this kind of prayer meetings every day. A picture from the prayer book. If you can just see the titles, this prayer book is from Sevagram Ashram. That's in Gujarat. So these prayer meetings happen there as well. Till, as you can see on the top, it's Isai Dharma ki Prarthana. So children, can you just tell me what is Isai Dharma?
Christian, ma'am.
Yes, that is Christianity. Isai Dharma is Christianity. Yes, Amit sir, I would also love to have charkha at our school, but not just for the sake of having it. We need to create that culture that we are able to take the responsibility and giving that respect by actually using it. I have been having this thought for a very long time. So thank you for being there with me. We'll see how we can have that. Then Samia says, and I was right as I wrote yes when ma'am asked, did he become okay, Samia? Then let every Indian consider himself to be a free man. A wonderful quote. Thank you. Christianity. Yes, you all are right. Those who wrote Christianity. So you can see there is a Sikh prayer below this that is from Sikhism, the Sikhs. Then Jain Prarthana and Bauddha Prarthana. So this is just one page. So there are prayers from Hinduism, even from Quran or Parsi religion. So whether it is a Muslim, it is a Parsi, it is a Hindu, it is a Christian, all were most welcome to be part of the prayer to the prayer meetings, and everyone had to participate in the prayers done where the prayers were recited from all religions. So that was to show that every religion teaches you the same thing, to be kind, to be the right kind of human in the right sense. So the story, let me tell you about the story. So in one of the prayer meetings, what happened was a young Muslim fellow, he stood up when they were doing these prayers, and he stood up and he said that I would not allow the verses from Quran to happen here. And before Gandhi ji could say anything or anything could happen, the other people sitting there, they got very angry and disappointed and got into an argument with him. And they said, if you don't want, you can go out from here. And why don't you want? You don't understand the importance of what is happening here. And, things like that. And what happened because of this kind of a strong disagreement from the other people sitting there, this young Muslim gentleman, he left the gathering. He moved out from the prayer hall. So you know what Gandhiji said at the end of it when this incident happened? He said that it pains my heart so much that you all have got angry and you have shown your anger in such a way. I would just like to quote Gandhiji here. These are the words of Gandhiji, what you see here on the screen. Let them not be angry with the persons who are protesting or say anything to them either here or outside. So if somebody is protesting, like this young Muslim gentleman was protesting, he was not happy with Quran verses being read there. So Gandhiji is saying not to be angry with him or with anybody who protests or say anything to them either here or outside. I shall carry on the prayer and the recitation from the Quran if you are agreeable to this. He said this to the rest of the people sitting there, that we will continue with it. Because you are in the majority, you should not think that you can ignore the people who are protesting. If you think you can ignore them, you would be following the path of violence. We must be more concerned about the people who are in the minority. So by minority, it is not religious minority or any faith-based minority or caste or anything like that. By minority, it is the minority in terms of the idea. The people who are sitting there, most of them agreed with that idea of having multi-faith, so they became majority. That majority may contain people from Islam, from Hinduism, from Jainism, from all those religions. So what he's saying is minority does not mean that fellow who was a Muslim. He means minority means those people who don't agree with this idea. So it's very important to understand that just because you are in majority, you should not ignore, or you should not humiliate or disrespect or not listen to the idea of the minority. Otherwise, it is considered as violence. So children, anyway, the real story about that prayer meeting, it goes beyond it. Gandhiji wanted to have a word with that person, and then what happened, I would like you to research a little more, but I would just like you to tell that this man returned to the prayer meeting. He understood the basic philosophy or the thought behind such a beautiful practice of multi-faith prayers, and he actually became a regular, and he started being a part of those prayers. But I would really like you to explore more. I won't spend more time on this particular story because I think we have got the gist of it. So many lessons that, disagreement should not mean disrespect. Because in today's world, this is a very wrong thought that people have got. If suppose our political views don't match, then we cannot talk, we cannot be friends, we cannot be civil with each other. If our religious thoughts don't match, then we cannot be civil with each other. So that's very wrong. We need to understand that we can respect people with different opinions. We can have disagreements, but that doesn't mean it needs to be it needs to turn into a dispute or fight or complete indifference to that person. So children, always remember what I feel, what I learn from here is matbhed ho sakta hai. Mat is opinion or bhed is difference. Difference of opinions are going to be there. एक family में अगर 5 लोग भी होते हैं, they have different opinions about which movie to watch, what dish to prepare. So for food. So matbhed is going to happen. It is inevitable. बट मतभेद हो सकता है, उससे मनभेद नहीं होना चाहिए. हमारे मन में दूरियां नहीं आनी चाहिए. We should know, okay, this is what you feel about it, and this is what I feel about it. I still like you. I still respect you. We can still be good civil human beings to each other. So I think this is one beautiful lesson which I learned from it. Take a few seconds, think what you learn from it, and I'll wait for your answers. Yes, Vandana, you're right. In ETST workshops, we always end the workshop on the last day with multi-faith prayers. And for a long time, I have been thinking of starting this in our school. We'll see how we can do that. We'll definitely do that. Children, how many of you think that we should have multi-faith prayers in our school? Prayers from different religions and faiths. Do you think there is anything wrong about it? And let me tell you, if you feel, I'm not going to dislike you, but yes, we can have more discussions to understand each other's point of view. How many of you think that we should have? Okay, yes. Beautiful. I'm happy to see that you all, those who have written, they all agree that we should have it. Amazing, amazing. God bless all of us and show us the right path always. So children, I take you to another revolutionary action of Gandhiji. In 1930, Gandhiji started a campaign. It's called Dandi March, where he went on foot for 384 kilometers from Sabarmati Ashram to a place called Dandi. It's called Salt Satyagraha. It was the very first incident of showing a non-violent civil disobedience. Civil disobedience when the civilians, the common public, decides to disobey rule, but not in a violent way, in a very non-violent, peaceful way. And you know the reason for it? So what the Britishers had done, They had an act called the British Salt Act. According to that act or that law, the tax for salt was increased to a very high price. And we all know that salt is something which every household needs. The poor person needs and a rich person needs. It is something which everyone has as a basic need. It's an important ingredient for your food. So realizing that this is a way of Britishers controlling us to unimaginable levels, Gandhiji took this action of doing a campaign. He started with I think 79 volunteers who were his close people, who were always with him, supporting him and his cause of Indian independence. So his struggle for Indian independence. So he started with those 79 volunteers, and by the time he reached Dandi, there were millions of Indians with him. And when he reached there, what they had done was they evaporated the saline water, and which after evaporation leaves the white crystals of salt. And early morning of 6:30 a.m. of 16th of 6th of April 1930, he picked up these salt. We can make our own salt and we can use it for cooking our food. We don't need to buy the salt by paying taxes to you. This was the very first loud and clear message to British that you cannot oppress us this way. It was also the very first loud and clear message of civil disobedience. And Gandhiji displayed the civil disobedience as a technique for fighting social and political injustice for the first time to the world. This is a video. I hope it's visible to all of you. Yeah. You can see a little clipping from the actual Dandi March. So you can see it has turned into a caravan. This caravan is of thousands and lakhs of Indians. And all through their march, they were shouting slogans, showing their allegiance to India and its freedom. You can even find children. Wow. Blessed were those who could do this for our country. And my humble salute to all those souls who led India to its victory and gave us those lessons for life. Moving on from this video, what we learn here is very clear from this quote of Gandhiji that says, there is a spelling mistake here. I just took the image. I'm sorry. The spelling of principle here should be PLE. The first principle of non-violent action is that of non-cooperation with everything humiliating. Whatever happens to you that you find humiliating, what you have to do to handle it or to counter it is a non-violent action of non-cooperation. Don't cooperate. Don't support. Don't be a part of it. Don't cooperate. Don't encourage, but in a non-violent way, like Gandhiji showed by carrying out the Dandi March. He also says non-violence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. It is mightier than the mightiest weapon of destruction devised by the ingenuity of man. So he considers non-violence not as a weak weapon. It is the greatest force. Just like forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. Similarly, non-violence is also practiced only by the most powerful of people. I would also like to bring a small incident to your notice here from Gandhiji's life. When Gandhiji was a young student, he got into the habit of smoking through the company with his friends, which led to lying at homes and even stealing in order to procure, the smoke, the cigarettes, or whatever he was using at that moment. And when it went on for some time, and Gandhiji one day realized that he is not feeling good about it, he is not comfortable inside, and he decided to share this mistake of his with his father and apologize. So he did not have the courage to speak. He wrote on a piece of paper. His father was lying on bed. He was sick for a few days before that. So Gandhiji went to his bed, handed over this piece of paper to his father, and stood there thinking that now he would be badly punished or something would happen to him. The father opened the note, read it. He was quiet, and then his father shed tears. Gandhiji could see that his father is simply crying. This was a life transformational experience for Gandhiji. This was the first ever incident in his life which taught him the importance of not dealing with any sin with anger, but with non-violent measures. He felt that my father is in pain because of my action. I will never do it. Now, father did not have to scold him, abuse him, or punish him in any way. So the non-violent measures are very strong. This goes very well with the quote. So Gandhiji learned these lessons from his home, and it is said charity begins at home. The same way values begin at home. We learn the most from our parents, from our grandparents, from the other people in our family. So the culture is to be carried out. The values have to be imbibed at home, and learn from your parents, learn from your grandparents, ask for their experiences of life and imbibe them. So this incident led him to realize the importance of truth, being honest, and led to non-addiction. So mistakes are made, but then lessons are learned. In that case, the mistakes are fine. So what have you learned from this, if I can ask you? We are soon going to finish with the class. She says there is nothing wrong in it. Totally agree. I think what she means is not wrong in making mistake. Yes. Sure, ma'am. That would be great. Okay. Okay. You all mean about the prayer, multi-faith prayer. I think we should have it. In this way, we will get to know about each other's religions and be more respectful. Yes, Samia. The movie Gandhi can be watched by the students. Absolutely. Sir Ben Kingsley won an Oscar for portraying the character of Mahatma Gandhi ji. That's true. So what did you learn from these few examples? Like Gandhiji accepting that he is smoking before his father, and the Dandi March that he carried out. Any lessons that you learned and you would like to express? Come on, friends, I'm waiting. Okay, I think you all have expressed that you have learned how it's important to be truthful and honest and learning from our mistakes. So Gandhiji also says, like we have discussed before, hate the sin, not the sinner. Same way he says, freedom is not worth having if it does not connote freedom to err and even to sin. To err is to make mistakes. He says freedom, real freedom is when you are free even to make mistakes and commit sins, unknowingly, or not knowing the real picture, the big picture, but later learning from it. That kind of freedom. I think that's a very broad-minded, very modern, very open-minded approach that he had at that age. That's revolutionary thinking. This is just to tell you one incident from his school life. Once when he was in the school, the inspector of the school, Mr. Giles, came to his class and he asked the children to spell the word kettle, kettle, from which we pour tea usually. So the students wrote the spelling. Gandhiji was struggling to write the spelling. So his teacher signaled to Gandhiji to copy from the neighbor. He stood in a way that the inspector was not able to see what class teacher is trying to convey, but he told to Gandhiji to copy. But Gandhiji did not do that. Now look at the sentence in red. This is the statement of the teacher. I told you to copy from your neighbor, he said angrily. Couldn't you even do that correctly? As Gandhiji went home that evening, he was unhappy. He knew he had done the right thing, but he was sad that his teacher asked him to cheat. I think it's such a big lesson for the teachers, for anybody who is in charge of a child, that you have to first demonstrate those virtues that you expect in children. So Gandhiji says it's easy to stand with the crowd, it takes courage to stand alone. All his friends, all his classmates were laughing at him, but he knew that even if he is the only one who's making mistake, he has the courage to go by what he knows. He will not cheat. He would not just do that to become a part of the crowd. Another beautiful quote by Gandhiji: there is enough on this planet for everyone's needs, but not for everyone's greed. As we can see, he practiced this through his simple lifestyle. He says, I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent. So you can go back to history, look at those incidents where violence was used as a weapon. And in some situations, it can even appear to be a good weapon, but its impact is good only for temporary, as a temporary way, as a temporary thing. But the evil that it causes goes on for a very long time. In fact, it is permanent. Gandhiji says about ahimsa that it cannot be practiced. If it cannot be practiced in all departments, it has no practical value. So you cannot say that I am non-violent with my colleagues. I'm non-violent with my friends. But you are not following the same with your siblings. You're not following the same with animals. You're not following the same with yourself. So according to Gandhiji, ahimsa is your character. It cannot be applicable for a certain compartments of life and ignored for the other compartments. It cannot be practiced in departments. If you are a non-violent person, you are non-violent in every department. Otherwise, it has no value. Then Gandhiji says, if you want to teach real peace, reach real peace in this world, we should start educating children. I hope, children, we are trying to do that. I hope we are doing justice with this responsibility. And I pray to God that you turn out to be the people who get inspiration from Gandhiji and such personalities and really make a positive difference to the world, which is the vision and the mission of our school. And remember, the future depends on what you do today. So don't say, okay, these are great lessons and I will think about it tomorrow and I'll see what I can do in the future. Try to put them in your daily life right from this moment. And I'll say the most beautiful lesson what Gandhiji has shown us through his truthful ways, through his non-violent ways, through his satyagraha ways, insisting on truth, is in a gentle way you can shake the world. I think if this is the biggest lesson we take today and we try our own gentle ways, keep trying without waiting for the results, with the good intentions, we really will be able to make some difference. So children, we are ending here, but I would like you to quickly tell me 3 lessons. You can ignore that because you have been writing lessons, but 2 words which struck to you today. Any 2 words which you found very profound or they are in your head very prominently staying with you. And one of the stories which very prominently hit you out of all the stories that we did today. Okay, Janvi says simplicity, humbleness, and the sandal story. Okay, so I take the lesson you are talking of is simplicity, humbleness, the sandal story. Okay, the words you have not written, or I don't know if these are your words or these are your lessons. So the story of the smoking incident, Greg sir finds that to be very intriguing and hard hitting. Sachi says equality and no discrimination. This is the lesson. Okay. The beginning story of the leather slippers was very impactful. Right. I also love that story, by the way, Jara. Avni, forgiveness, kindness, the story of the sandals, the smoking incident. Okay. I also love how Gandhiji turned that entire experience of being thrown at the platform. And that was something so difficult to accept as an Indian, that something like that had happened. It hit hard. Yes, Ishan. Thank you. Okay, children. Basically, we have completed our session today. There are two short videos. One is from Munna Bhai, and the other is also a bhajan that Gandhiji used to love, Vaishnav Janato Te Nahi Kahiye Je. So those who have any important engagements or they are tired and they would like to leave the lesson can now leave. Those who are interested still in seeing those beautiful clippings from Munna Bhai, which talk about some very interesting thoughts of Gandhiji, followed by the bhajan, then please stay here with me. I don't mind if you leave now. So thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for being a very patient and wonderful audience. Nishita, may you please begin?
Ma'am,
Would you
may I
please
take a
begin?
minute of speaking
Yes,
something?
Greg, please go ahead. Tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. The session was very enriching. I mean, we could, imagine the incidences that happen and the learning that is gone beyond our imagination. It's really going to be very impactful. On a lighter side, I would like to say when I wrote about Gandhi movie, the incident of Dandi March is shot here, just very close to a school, where we had the pond, and this Maharashtra Judicial Academy is just below that, where the
Uh-huh.
Gandhi March, the
Yeah,
trees
yeah.
and everything is been shot over there. So if you watch this movie Gandhi,
Wow.
where yeah, it's called Margali Talao. So that shooting was
Oh,
done over there. So just have a
great.
look at that. So we are part of that in a way, if I have to say. I mean,
Oh my
in the
God.
movie. Yeah.
So this is marvelous. This is
Yes, ma'am.
fantastic information, Greg. I was not aware of it. So
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
Amit sir, you must make a note of this information. We should click some pictures, and when we talk of our school, we can say that this is this place. The school is close to such an iconic place. So thank you, Greg, for
In the
sharing
movie.
that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you
lovely
so much.
session. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. So
Ma'am,
children,
can
if
I?
you wish to express, yeah, please. Who's this?
Nishita here, ma'am. If you stop presenting, I will present my screen, ma'am.
Oh yes, Nishita. 1 second. So meanwhile, if somebody would like to express how they liked the session, not liked, any suggestions for me, please write in the chat box. I'll be thankful if you have some nice suggestions. Yes, Nishita, I have stopped. You can now play.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So formally the session is over. It's just an additional, bonus material for you, for those who are interested.
मुंबई अपना फ्रेंड कोमा में चल गया उसको राइट और रॉन्ग कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा
Johnny. The show must go on. It's a big hit.
Unbelievable.
हेलो प्रॉब्लम बोलो
डैड ने न्यूज़पेपर मैट्रिमोनियल से मेरे लिए एक लड़का पसंद किया है। वो कहते हैं एक बार मिलो और डिसाइड करो। लेकिन एक मीटिंग में उसे कैसे जज करूं? वो तो अच्छा ही बिहेव करेगा ना।
आदमी को परखना हो तो ये देखो कि अपने से नीचे तबके के लोगों से वो कैसे बर्ताव करता है।
Ishita, I would like you to stop this here.
Restaurant.
I don't know if it is even audible properly. This is the movie Munna Bhai MBBS. I would like all of you to watch. And let me tell you what this girl was asking. She was asking how to decide whether a man is good enough to marry. So what Gandhiji is suggesting is check how he behaves with people lower in position than him. So what she does, she goes with him to a restaurant and checks for his behavior with the waiter. and this man behaves very badly, disrespectfully with the waiter, and she gets an idea about the character of the person. So it's a beautiful lesson that the character is shown by your actions and behavior to the people whom you don't have to impress, or who are not at your level or above your level in certain ways. Nishita, can you show the next video?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Samya, that movie is Gandhi. That movie that Greg sir was talking about is called Gandhi. Just Gandhi.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you. Ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
धन्यवाद. Thank you.
Actually, I find the voice breaking. Are you all able to hear the sound clearly?
एक मिनट. सवाल पूछो.
No, ma'am.
हम सब मिलकर बापू को याद करेंगे. रघुपति अरे हो गया. अरे बस करो भाई, बस करो. जो भी सवाल पूछना है पूछो. बिंदास.
बेटा कल यहाँ पार्क में मेरे सामने एक नौजवान ने पत्थर मार के बापू के स्टैचू को हाथ कर दिया और फिर खड़ा खड़ा हंस रहा था. मेरी समझ में ये नहीं आया कि मैं उसे समझाऊं तो कैसे समझाऊं.
सिंपल है. वो नौजवान के घर पे जाने का, उसको वहां से उठाने का, बापू के पुतले के सामने खड़ा करने का, और
पत्थर देख के उससे कहना चाहिए कि मेरा पूरा पुतला गिरा दो.
Nishita, please stop it. The voice is breaking.
Yes, ma'am.
So, friends, there is a very beautiful dialogue here where Gandhi ji says कि मेरे जितने भी पुतले हैं वो सारे जला दो या वो सारे तोड़ दो. अगर मुझे कहीं रखना ही है तो अपने दिल में रखो. That is something which is so striking, and I would like to end the class with this lesson कि अगर गांधी को कहीं रखना है तो किसी स्टैच्यू में, किसी चौराहे पे नहीं रखना है, उसे हमें अपने दिल में रखना है. और अपने दिल में रखना है means we have to lead our life with those lessons what he embodied and what he believed in. I would like to end with this, and let's play Gandhi's favorite bhajan while we relax and then we move out of the class. Thank you. I hope that the voice doesn't break now. Thank you, Nishita. You can switch it off now.
Hello. Hello,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am, for such a wonderful
Hello,
session,
yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. This is Prajwal.
Yes.
How are you, ma'am?
Yes, Prajwal. I'm good. Prajwal Patil. Hello.
Hello.
Oh yes, Prajwal. Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Nishita,
Hi.
please stop the video. I think we have ended the video, Nishita. Please switch it off.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Namaste, Prajwal. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, children, those who don't remember, he is our ex-student from the very first batch of our school, and he is currently in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
Nick?
ma'am.
So you came here before the lockdown?
No, ma'am. During the lockdown, I came in June. In
How
mid
is
of June,
everything?
everything is good. Everything is going good.
So, did you attend the session today?
I was
This one?
there. Yeah. Yes, I was there.
Okay. Not for the entire
It
session,
was
I
very,
think.
no. Yeah, I was not there for the entire session, but
Okay.
I listened to you. What were you saying? That was really, really nice, ma'am.
Thank you so much. We miss you, Prajwal, and God bless you. So proud of
We
you. So
really
proud of
miss your lectures. I really miss your lectures when you used to teach us.
Oh, so sweet of you. Come anytime.
Sure, ma'am.
We can have some virtual lectures also. If you think I'm able to teach you something, please contact me anytime.
Definitely.
So God bless you. Take care and come to
Thank
school
you.
when we reopen.
Sure, sure.
So happy to see you. And you have grown so big, so handsome.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
God bless you. All good at home?
Yes, everything is good. I think.
Everyone fine?
Everyone fine. Everyone great.
Take
Everyone's
care.
doing
Take care. Thank you. Nice talking to you, Prajwal. God
sure,
bless
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.